Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laurence and I post art videos once a week. Today I have such an exciting video. This is all about watercolor pencils and today is going to be the battle of the watercolor pencils. So today we have three different sets from two brands. We have two sets from Derwent and one from Caran d'Ache. And what I wanted to do is that since these are basic sets, we can pretty much find the same colors in each set. So I decided I wanted to compare all of these colors in a pretty neat chart in my swatch book. This is the sketchbook that I use for all my swatching. I try to document all of my new materials. I try to have everything well organized. So this is why I got inspired by a bullet journal to set this up. You can watch the video in which I set it up right here. I have lots of swatches and I have some templates as well. I have a key, just like a bullet journal. I have a table of contents. Anyway, if I can just give you an idea of the contenders that are going to participate in today's battle. We have the Derwent watercolors, which I would say are the least expensive of all of those. The 24 color set was $60, and I saw that you can also get a $12 set for $18. This is all in Canadian, so it's going to be less in US dollars, but these are all the prices I found on Amazon. As for the Museum Aquarelle, it's pretty much the same price, so it's 58.50 Canadian dollars for a 12 color set. And for the Inktense, it's $40 for a 12 color set, but I got it at $27 because it was a sale. Apparently I checked on Derwent's website and the Inktense are permanent. Once you wet them and they dry again, then they become permanent and they won't reactivate. But I found it not to be true. I tested it with some of the swatches that I made in my latest art haul and they reactivated, which is not a problem for me. It's just I don't get it. Maybe it's just the specific color that I tested. We could try to test it later on in this video. They are made with ink pigments, so they are more vibrant. And apparently they can also be used on ceramics and wood. I'm going to write down the name of each color in each category. So we have yellow, orange, ochre, light red, bright green, deep green, light blue, dark blue, brown, Payne's gray, and black. We're gonna write all of the names, the pigment information, the light fastness information. MA is Museum Aquarelle, DW is Derwent watercolor, and ink is Derwent Inktense. And then we're gonna come back for the fun part, which is the swatching. Okay, so we're gonna proceed one color at a time. As you can see, I could find the pigment information only for the Museum Aquarelle. I tried to look on Derwent's website to have their info, but I couldn't find anything about the pigments. So if you know where I can find that information, please let me know and I will add it. And they use a different light fastness rating. So I converted it to the rating that I'm using in this swatch book, which is the Roman numerals. So 1 is excellent, 2 is very good, 3 is fair or moderate, 4 is, I don't remember what 4 is not that good, but I don't have anything that's a 4 in these color pencils. What I noticed is that the Museum Aquarelle are mostly 1, so they are very light fast. The Derwent Inktense are a bit more light fast than the Derwent watercolor, which I think is what I expected when I had a look at the prices. The Museum Aquarelle being the most expensive, then the Derwent Inktense, and then the Derwent watercolor. But now it's very exciting. We're gonna test out the colors. So we're gonna start with our yellows. For Museum Aquarelle, we have lemon yellow. Then for our Derwent watercolor yellow, we have lemon cadmium, which is the only yellow that is not as light fast. This one, I don't know if you can see, it's more dusty than the first one. Finally, for the Inktense, we have Sun Yellow, which is very light fast. I feel like this is the creamiest of them all. Oh, I have to do a disclaimer. You know, since these are limited sets, sometimes the colors were not exactly what I would have picked for their color categories. For example, I think it's the blues. I have a category for light blues, but some of them are not really light. I just chose the lighter blue of that specific set, but I wouldn't categorize these blues as light. But you'll see later what I'm talking about. For the first few categories, we have pretty much colors that fit, but then you'll see it gets a bit trickier. Okay, now we're gonna add some water. I'm gonna start with lemon yellow. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wet half the swatch and I'm going to drag it as far as I can. And see how far the pigment goes. So it goes pretty far. Then I'm gonna try to do the same with lemon cadmium from Derwent. I'm gonna try to not have these colors mixed together. And finally, Sun Yellow from Derwent Inktense. You can already see the inkiness of this one. It's more pigmented and the color is more vibrant. That's why I love these Inktense. So pretty. Okay, now we're gonna move on to our oranges. For the Museum Aquarelle, the orange that I have, the most orange color is the gold cadmium yellow, which I think is going to be more yellow, but I don't have anything that's more orange than this. If I bought individual colors, I could have gotten, I think, a better fit, but I'm comparing the basic sets. So this is what you get when you buy a set. I think this is still valuable information. Now for Derwent watercolor, we have orange chrome. See, this is more like carrot orange compared to that first one. Okay, and let's add the water. Let's start with gold cadmium yellow from Museum Aquarelle. Yeah, when you add the water, it really becomes yellow. As the name suggests, so we can't really be mad. It's not pretending to be an orange, it's a yellow. You can see it's pretty pigmented. Now we have orange chrome from Derwent watercolor. This one is a little bit less light fast than the other two, but it's not such a big difference. And this one's an orange, a true orange, so there's that. I think we're gonna get a really pretty rainbow, which is ideal for the month of June, which is when I filmed this video. I don't know if I'm gonna publish it in June, but happy Pride, guys. Now we're doing tangerine, which is so pretty. I think it's a bit early to say this, but I think I'm just in love with my Inktense. I think the Inktense are my favorites. They're so pigmented. They're so intense. Beautiful. Now for the category ochre. I have one Museum Aquarelle and two Derwent watercolors. I don't have any Inktense because there's no ochre in the basic Inktense set. But I had two colors in the watercolor set, the Derwent watercolor, that could be contenders for ochre. So I decided to swatch these three colors and it's gonna allow us to compare. So for Museum Aquarelle, we have yellow ochre, which in my opinion is a classic. I don't know why I don't have this color in the other set. We're gonna swatch yellow ochre. Yeah, when you add the water, it gets a lot more yellow. It's always something that I like with watercolor pencil. When you swatch them, they change colors and it can be a surprise. I feel though that this one, this Museum Aquarelle Yellow Ochre, is not as good as the other Museum Aquarelle. It kind of loses its saturation when you swatch it, which I felt was not the case with the other colors. You can still drag it pretty far though, which is good. And I feel like you see a little bit more pencil lines compared to the others. Now let's swatch brown ochre. This one I feel retains more its color, its saturation. But maybe it's because it's a brown, it's not a yellow. I don't know. You let me know. And the golden brown, which is going to be interesting to swatch. I don't know, I feel like it fits. So these are not yellow ochres. Well, I only have one yellow ochre. So I can't expect the other twos to look like yellow ochres because that's not what they are. But you can see at the end of the swatch here, the colors are pretty similar, especially the first two. Now we're gonna swatch our bright reds, which is light cadmium red for Museum Aquarelle, which is very light fast compared to the other twos. For Derwent watercolor, we have deep vermilion, which is moderately light fast, and the Inktense is poppy red, which is the same moderately light fast. This red is so creamy. I always love swatching reds in watercolor pencils. Reds and purples. Because I feel like the color change is the greatest with these colors. Okay, now let's do deep vermilion, which is a bit more dusty. And finally, let's do poppy red. This one is very creamy as well. Okay, let's add the water. Starting with the Museum Aquarelle light cadmium red. Already, just with this little bit of water, I can see how bright this color is, how pigmented. So pretty. And you can really drag it far. Then we have deep vermilion, which is not as saturated. I can see right away when I add the water. But I feel like it's still a good color to have. I feel like it's a bit more, it's a red, but I feel like it's a bit more neutral than the other reds. And let's finish off with poppy red. Oh, so pretty. You can really see the Inktense in this one. I love it. Wow, it's so intense. So pigmented. It retains its color for a long time. Oh my god, so pretty. Then we're gonna do our deep reds or our darker reds, which for Museum Aquarelle is going to be purplish red. In this color group, we only have the Derwent watercolor Crimson Lake that is not as light fast as the other two. So let's start with purplish red from Museum Aquarelle. I feel like this category too, I probably could have called it pink. The name of the category is not really important. It's more the color groups that are. Now we have Derwent watercolor Crimson Lake. Finally, for our Derwent Inktense, we have Fuchsia, which I think I have never tried. I'm sorry if my camera was shaking. My tripod is not the best, but I think now it's fixed. I'm very sorry. I hate it when I watch a video and the camera shaking. I hope you don't have nausea because of me. Because my table is shaking and my tripod was leaning on my table. Now it's not anymore, so I feel like maybe only my table is gonna shake and not the table and the camera. So these are my deep reds, dark reds, slash pinks, slash fuchsias. Ooh, have you seen this? I added just a little bit of water to the Museum Aquarelle purplish red, and ooh, it's so intense. It feels like the Inktense. Wow. That's why I like swatching the reds and purples, because they're the ones who give you the biggest surprise. It's so saturated. Yeah, it's very pretty. It almost doesn't lose its color. The more you drag it, it just stays the same. I don't think our Derwent watercolor in Crimson Lake is going to give us the same color payoff. Yeah, I think it's way less saturated, but it's still such a pretty color. It's not. Yeah, it is less saturated, but it's honestly not that bad. Oh, it's such a pretty color. So I feel like maybe this is the only one that would really be a deep red. The other two I think are more pinkish. Let's swatch fuchsia. Oh, it's so intense. It looks like the first color so far. Oh, maybe it's a bit warmer. Oh, it's very intense. It's even more intense than the Museum Aquarelle. Wow. To finish off this page, we have a nice surprise. We have 4 colors to swatch in this category, which is the bright green category. We have 1 Museum Aquarelle, which is light green. We have 2 Derwent watercolors, grass green and emerald green. And we have 1 Inktense, which is apple green. The Derwent watercolor 24 color set that I have has a lot of greens, which is so fun if you like doing landscapes. We have 5 greens. We're gonna start by swatching Museum Aquarelle light green. Oh, it's bright green. They all are pretty light fast, but the Museum Aquarelle and the Inktense are the most light fast. Okay, so this bright green is not as creamy as the other Museum Aquarelle that we've tried, but it's still pretty good, of course. Now let's do grass green. So as I was saying, we have another light green in this range of Derwent watercolors, which is May green. And I would say it's even lighter than these 2 that I'm going to swatch, but it's a bit yellower as well. So for this category, I tried to pick the colors that would be the most similar to one another. Okay, let's add some water. Let's do bright green first. I feel like it loses its saturation a bit when you add the water, but then it becomes very bright. So I feel like this name is perfect for this pencil. And you can still drag this color pretty far, and it's still pigmented. Now let's do grass green from Derwent watercolor. which is yellower than the bright green that we first swatched. I really like my yellowish greens, as you may know. And I feel like its pigmentation is similar to the bright green. Now we're gonna do emerald green, which is a lot colder than the other two. And let's end up with apple green, the last color of this page. It's so beautiful. Wow. I think this definitely is my favorite color of all of them, but you can see that it's more yellow than the others too. I'm sorry if the lighting is changing. I hope it's not too bad for you. Okay, so that's it for this first page. See how pretty this rainbow is? Whew. So we're gonna continue onto the other page for another full table, just like this one. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next page. I already swatched our dark greens. For Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle, we have phthalocyanine green, which I felt was very creamy, and it looks like it's a thick coat. Then for Derwent watercolor, we have mineral green, which is the least light fast of the three, but it's still pretty good. And then for the Inktense, we have teal green. And I noticed that for the Inktense and the Derwent, sometimes I feel like the color is less evenly ground than in the Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle, because sometimes I feel like I can see some darker pigments in there, where in the Museum Aquarelle, I feel like it's just one uniform color, but I don't mind the variation. It's just an interesting thing to notice. Let's add water to phthalo green. I love swatching phthalo greens and like teals also. This type of color along with the red and the purples, I feel like they're the ones who are the most satisfying. So pigmented. Have you seen this? Wow. The saturation. Ooh. Beautiful. Oh wow, that's pretty. Oh, if you were wondering, by the way, I'm using my Raphael brush in number 8. It's a synthetic brush and it's very good. I like this size a lot. So now we're doing mineral green, which is a very pretty color as well. I have a feeling it's not going to be as pigmented, but you never know. Yeah, I don't think it is as pigmented. But still very pretty. Now I'm very excited to add some water to the teal green, see how it's going to change. Ooh, that color is intense. So pretty. It's very saturated. You can drag it very far and you don't lose much intensity. It's great. Wow. Okay, so I swatched the light blues As you can see, these are not very light. Maybe the one in the middle could be counted as a light blue, but the other twos, I don't think that they're very light, especially when you look at the first one's title, which is dark ultramarine, but it's the lightest blue that I have in this set, and the other blue is darker than this one. This is the least light fast color in the Museum Aquarelle range, in the 12 set at least. I don't know about the other colors in their range. I feel like an ultramarine is a staple color, so it would have been interesting to have it in the other sets as well, but we don't. I don't know if it's difficult to have a light fast version of this color. Maybe that's the reason, I don't know. Now for the Derwent watercolor, we have Spectrum Blue. And let's finish with Sea Blue, which I'm very interested to add water to, as I am with all my Inktense, because I feel like these are the ones where you never know how intense they're gonna be. Oh, and this one looks like it is pretty intense, very inky. So I cannot wait to use this blue in my drawings, especially that it's a light fast color. It's very nice. I don't know for you, but in Quebec it's super hot today, so well, these past few days. Summer is definitely here, and my pages are drying so fast, which I guess is good for swatching like this because the colors are so close that it would be easy to spill in the next box. Yeah, very pigmented. You can drag it pretty far. It doesn't lose much color, so it's very nice. Okay, so now we have our dark blues. So I feel like this is where the line between the different categories gets a bit blurry, because I feel like the sea blue could be in the dark blue category, but in that Inktense set, this is the lightest blue. So that's why I put it in light blue. So keep that in mind. They probably have lighter blues in their range, but not in the set that I have. So now we're putting water to Permanent Blue from Museum Aquarelle. All of these blues are very light fast. Oh, this one is so pigmented. This is very nice. See how far I can drag it? It stays so pigmented. Then we are gonna add water to Prussian Blue by Derwent watercolor. This one is not as pigmented as the previous one, which is not surprising. It's pretty consistent with what we've seen so far for this set. And now Deep Indigo, which at mass tone like this looks like almost a black, but I know it's gonna change. Ooh, it's so dark. Oh my god. Oh wow, it's so pretty. Look at that. So pigmented. This is amazing. Okay, now we're gonna move on to the browns. Fast forward to the future, which is now. I drew the rest of the swatches so we can just have some fun and put water on it and I guess for you it doesn't make a lot of difference, but I just wanted to get over with this drawing part, which was very fun. Let's talk about the browns first. We have a lot of color difference between the browns that we have in these different sets. The Museum Aquarelle brown surprised me because it was a lot drier than the other pencils of this range. Then we have Cooper Beach, which was pretty creamy. And then we have Inktense Baked Earth, which again, I feel like I see some uneven color. I'm kind of excited to swatch all of them. Not swatch, but I mean add the water, complete the swatch for all of them. So let's start with brown. I feel like this one loses a lot of saturation when you wet it. Yeah, it's not as pigmented at all. Well, you can still drag it pretty far. But yeah, I don't know about this one. And all of these are light fast. So this is good. And yeah, I think they're all going to be very different. So I think that it's nice. It's a nice range of colors, you know, for different occasions and different needs. So this Cooper Beach is more of a yellower brown. Pretty pigmented, pretty creamy. Yeah, I like it more than the Museum Aquarelle. I think the Museum Aquarelle brown could be very nice if it was more pigmented, because I think the color is interesting, but it's just that you lose it when you add the water. Now let's do Baked Earth from Inktense. And again, it gets very inky, very vibrant when you add the water. It's beautiful. I like it a lot. I don't know if it is a true, I don't know if it's a brown really. When I swatch it, I feel like it could have been part of the oranges, or if we had like a burnt sienna section or something like that, it could be, yeah, if we had a sienna, I think it would be better placed in that category, but we don't have that category, so. But before adding the water, I felt like this was more of a brown, and then it became a sienna after adding the water. Now, next category. At first I called it the Payne's Gray, but I just changed it to gray because we only have one Payne's Gray, which is in the Museum Aquarelle line. We have a blue gray from Derwent, but I just decided that this category would be great. And for this category, we have 4 colors to swatch. 1 Museum Aquarelle, 2 Derwent watercolor, and 1 Inktense. So let's start with Payne's Gray from Museum Aquarelle. I'm excited to see the difference between Payne's Gray and Blue Gray. So there's the Payne's Gray, then let's do Blue Gray, which I feel, just like this, I feel like it's more pigmented than Payne's Gray. And also, it looks like a more interesting color. Yeah, I find it way more interesting. I would use this one more than Payne's Gray. I'm not a big fan of grays in general. I can work with a Payne's Gray because of that bluish element to it, which I feel makes it way more interesting. Otherwise, I don't have a lot of use for grays. Now we have this other one from Derwent watercolor, which is gunmetal, and I felt like I had to include it because it's a gray, like it's a true gray, so it had to be included. But I don't really see myself using this color. I don't really like graphite watercolors, and I feel like this one would be considered a graphite. And now we have Inktense Bark. At first I didn't think that I would use this one at all in all of these swatches. I thought it would be more of a brown, but then I swatched it on the side and I decided it looked like a gray. It's kind of an in-between, I would say. It's almost black. So I decided we would put it in the grays and just see how it goes, and it's gonna allow us to compare it with all of these others. Yeah, I feel like it's more a brown. Especially when I drag it, I can see the color, the paler color that it becomes, and I feel like it's more of a brown, but at mass tone it's almost black, and when you add just a little bit of water it looks like a dark gray. I feel like this is a color that you can use either as a black, a gray, or a brown, and it's gonna work. So it's good to have swatched it. And now we're gonna move on to the last category, which is the blacks. All of these are very light fast. When I'm done, I'm gonna show you some close-ups, and you're welcome to pause the video, take some screenshots. And if you do end up getting one of these sets, they're gonna be linked in description. I have affiliate links through Amazon. It's a new thing on my channel. So if you want to buy something, it's not going to be more expensive for you, but it's just going to give me some small commission. I'm not exactly sure how it works because nobody has used my links so far, but it's new. So yeah, I'll be sure to link those so you can buy through my link if you want to. You don't have to. But if you do, I'm gonna get a small commission, and I'm going to use all the money that I make to get more art supplies and continue showing you stuff on this channel. Okay, now we have Ivory Black from Derwent watercolors, and I feel like it's way more pigmented than Museum Aquarelle Black, which is a surprise, because so far the Derwents were the least pigmented, and being the cheaper sets, that's what I thought would happen. But this one is more pigmented, and I like this black better. It's a bit bluer. And let's finish off with Inktense Ink Black, which I expect to be very luscious, very pigmented, and yes, it seems like it is. My God, so beautiful. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry, and we're gonna come back in a few minutes to have a closer look. We are finally done with all of these swatches. Look at how pretty these pages are. Oh, wow. They look like the swatches you get when you go to the paint store. They make me think about these kind of swatches with the gradients and everything. So pretty. Oh my God. So I'm very happy about this. I think that is going to be such a useful tool. And after swatching these 3 sets, I think that my favorite one is the Derwent Inktense. As you may have guessed, every time I swatched them, I was always amazed. So I think it's a pretty easy claim, but I love them all, to be honest. I'm gonna use them all for sure. And I think that having the light fastness is going to be very helpful for me. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any requests for videos I could do with these pencils, let me know. I will do it for sure. And now I feel like doing a drawing with these. So in the next few weeks, you might see a video about that. So I'm going to show you some close-ups. Don't hesitate to pause the video, take some screenshots, and if you plan on buying some sets, let me know. I would love to know, and if you have any questions, leave them below as usual. Like, subscribe, comment. And if you want to use my affiliate link, just head on to the description below. You'll get all the links you need there. Little update, I did this drawing this morning. It is on Yupo paper, so it's a type of paper that is very special. I wanted to see how the watercolor pencils would react on this type of paper, especially the Derwent Inktense, because they're supposed to be good for a multitude of surfaces. And since this paper is like plasticky, it doesn't absorb pigment really. I wanted to have an idea of how it would feel to use them. So I used mostly Inktense. The only two colors that I used that were not Inktense were these two. So for the yellower parts and for the sky, I used these Caran d'Ache Supra Color 2, but the rest were Inktense, and I really felt the difference between the Inktense and the Supra Color 2. I felt like the Inktense were gliding on the paper more than the Supra Color. But yeah, it was so fun. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.